Hello everybody and welcome back to Dollar Tree Dinners and welcome to Septober Day 7, which is a couple of days delayed. It was entirely my intention to be done with this series by now, to have posted a video every single day for the first 10 days, but that didn't happen. Today is currently the 12th and we're only on day 7. Today's recipe is not a written recipe. I did not get it from a blog. It is a recipe that one of my instructors when I was in school gave to me. We had like a potluck one day and the soup that she made was really good and I asked her for the recipe. She was like, oh, it's so easy, here's the recipe, and it really was so easy. I made it so many times in my 20s because it was always cheap no matter what, because it was a lot of canned things. It was easy. I could throw it in the slow cooker, go to work, come home and have dinner ready. I'd pack it up and take it with me to Walgreens to have for my lunch break. Like, this was such an amazing recipe back then. I ate myself sick of it. For this one, we are busting out the slow cooker. This is actually my multi-cooker. It serves as a rice cooker and a slow cooker. Imagine this like an Instant Pot without the pressure cooker feature. This is probably one of the only appliances that will be making the journey with me across country. The reason I did not use this in my hotel cooking vlog is simply because of its size. Like, this thing is amazing, probably one of my favorite appliances that I have ever owned, but as you can see, it is quite large, especially when you compare it to this little guy here. Not quite as versatile as the multi-cooker, but the multi-cooker is just really a behemoth of an appliance. This holds 20 cups of cooked rice, 20 cups total. This one holds closer to 8 cups, so big size difference there. So this recipe got me through some really tough times when I did not have a lot of money to spend on food and I needed something that was consistently cheap and delicious. And that is why I'm sharing it with you guys today. This one's a little bit different because I have already gone ahead and purchased all of the ingredients to make it. I wanted to see how much it would cost today to make the soup. We'll go over some substitutions in the recipe, but I just want you guys to know that all of the ingredients at my local grocery store totaled just over $10. And that is for every ingredient that you need to make this. So even in 2024, this is still a really cheap and easy meal to make. First ingredient is chicken breast. I paid $4.37 for this pack and it comes with 2 pretty good sized chicken breasts, so that's what I'll be using today. This is the only refrigerated ingredient that goes in this soup. So you can swap this for a large can of chicken, and this would be an entirely pantry meal as well. 1 onion is completely optional. I've made it with and without the onion. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but sometimes it makes people feel a little bit better if it's got at least 1 produce option. Or you can swap the onion for a bag of frozen pepper and onion stir fry from Dollar Tree or a bag of frozen seasoning blend from Dollar Tree as well. This recipe is a lot of canned items. I have 2 cans of beans. I have a can of black beans and a can of chili beans. You can do any 2 beans that you have. It doesn't really matter. I have 1 can of tomato sauce and 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. For a milder soup, you can just use petite diced tomatoes in place of the tomatoes with green chilies. Totally up to you. Then I have a can of corn and a can of chicken broth. And you can, of course, swap the chicken broth for bouillon cubes or bouillon powder. Either one works. I just want to get the can of chicken broth because that is how I was taught to make it, and I wanted to see how much it would cost today if I were to buy all of the ingredients. And then the final ingredient is 1 packet of taco seasoning. So you can see how this would be a really great meal to keep the ingredients in your pantry. They're all really inexpensive, whether you buy them full price or on sale. This is definitely a recipe that really saved me when I was in my early 20s, and I am grateful to it, even though I ate it to the point where I was sick of it and no longer wanted to make it anymore. This is one of those anybody can make it kind of recipes. I'm gonna add my 2 chicken breasts in the bottom of my pot. You can do more chicken, you can do less chicken. It's entirely up to you. Next, I'm gonna add in my diced onion. Or if you're using pre-chopped pepper and onion stir fry, just toss that in as well. Most of these cans, I'm just gonna dump in there completely undrained. So there's the chili beans. I got seasoned black beans, so I am not gonna be rinsing and draining them. However, if you get plain black beans, you might just wanna rinse it. It's up to you. Need a can opener for the rest of these. Pop tops are super handy, especially if you're trying to donate these ingredients to a local food pantry. So just something to keep in mind. You can also donate can openers to food pantries in the event that somebody gets canned goods that don't have pop tops. So a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies. One interesting thing I noticed about this when I was buying these ingredients at Food Lion is that Food Lion sells two types of diced tomatoes and green chilies. One is 99 cents and one is 98 cents. But one is a 10-ounce can and the other one is a 15-ounce can. So just something to keep in mind. Always keep your eyes open. Can of corn, also undrained. Can of tomato sauce. If you have an 8-ounce can, that works as well. And lastly, a 15-ounce can of chicken broth, or you can swap that with 2 cups of broth or 2 cups of water with 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon powder. And then lastly, 1 packet of taco seasoning. I don't talk about sodium very often, but since this is the majority of canned goods, feel free to swap any or all of these canned products with the reduced sodium versions if sodium is something that you have to worry about. And that is it. I just give it a little bit of a quick stir just to kind of distribute some of those ingredients. I would toss all this in the crock pot and then head to work for the day. And then when I'd come back 8 hours later, my soup was ready to go. I do not have 8 hours to wait for this today though. So I am gonna do it on high for somewhere between 4 to 5 hours. I'll set it to 5. But we're just gonna set it and forget it. So I will see you guys in 5 hours. There's really just one update that I want to talk about that I'm really excited about, and that is that on October 15th, YouTube is increasing the length of their shorts from 60 seconds to 3 minutes. And as you guys know, I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with YouTube Shorts. I do upload short content on other platforms, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, but I've always had to split those videos up into multiple parts on YouTube. After the 15th, I'm gonna start to share a lot more short format videos on YouTube in addition to the long format. Don't worry, we're not replacing or getting rid of the long format. I'm just going to be able to cross-post videos that I post on other platforms. Now I'm also going to be able to post those on YouTube, whereas I previously not posted them just because I don't want to split them in multiple parts. With that being said, I know that the Septober series has not had any Dollar Tree soups, but I do have some Dollar Tree soups and I'm happy to share them, but they are filmed in that format. So I will be posting those shortly after October 15th, along with any other Dollar Tree recipes that I want to share. I'm very, very excited about that, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'll see you guys again in about 4 hours when this soup is ready. It has been, I set it for 5 hours and it says 41 minutes left. So it's been over 4 hours, but under 5 hours. Let's take a look. Should be about ready then. When you're using fresh chicken like I am with this, really the soup is done when the chicken is shreddable. So let's find out if it's ready. It seems like it is. And yeah, we're totally shreddable. It's falling apart really easily. So that's the trick. That's just how you know when the soup is ready. When the chicken is easily shreddable. If it's not shreddable, give it another hour or so. So then all that's left to do is shred up our chicken. You can also cube it up if you prefer, but I just shred it. And return it back to the pot. Give it a stir to distribute everything. So this is Septober day 7. And I think most people call this chicken tortilla soup. I usually call it like taco soup or something to that degree. It's usually called tortilla soup because it is topped with tortilla chips or tortilla strips. This is perfectly fine to be eaten just as it is, but the way that I've always had it is with sour cream and cheese. And I also have some tortilla chips, so I'm gonna crush some of those on top as well. Fritos or corn chips make a great addition too, if you have those. Kind of think of it like you would a pot of chili, and like any toppings you would normally put on chili, you can put on this. I have not had this soup in many, many years. I'm excited. This is a classic for me. It's probably just gonna whisk me right back to my 20s. So good. When I worked at Walgreens, I would pack this up in a container and would pack up a separate, smaller container with some shredded cheese and a second container with some sour cream. And that was typically how I ate it. Sometimes I'd include a bag of Fritos or something to have with it. It was always such a fabulous lunch. It tastes exactly like I remember it, which is fantastic. This is nostalgia in a bowl for me. I absolutely love it. but I want to show you just how much you get out of this batch of soup. Because again, the ingredients for this cost me a little over $10. I think it came out to like $10.48 or something like that. That includes tax. And that was for every ingredient to make this soup. I think the only thing I didn't buy was the single onion. These are 32-ounce deli containers. I consider each one of these containers to be about 2, sometimes 3 servings, just depending. If you're adding extra toppings to it, it's probably close to 3. But if you're just eating the soup as it is, then it's closer to 2. I got 1, 2, 3 full containers of this soup, plus my bowl. So if you count each of these as 2 servings, that is 7 servings out of this one $10 batch of soup. If you add tortilla chips or corn chips to this, and you're able to get 3 servings out of each of these, that is 3, 6, 9, 10. Such a great recipe. So I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I'm being genuine when I say that this is the soup recipe that kind of saved me in my 20s when I had very little money for food. It is so cheap, it is so delicious, and I have been making it my entire adult life. It truly is, for me, nostalgia in a bowl, and I love it so much. I'm glad that I made it again. Now I have plenty of this. I'm probably gonna have to put 1 or 2 of these in my freezer. I would freeze it in quart-size Ziploc freezer bags. Freeze them flat so that they're really quick to thaw. Not only have the soup for the week that I made it, but like 2 to 3 weeks down the road as well. The time period that I'm always describing is when I moved from North Carolina to Virginia. I had no friends, no family there. I had very little money. Our mortgage when we bought the house was $670 a month. We had a car payment, we had cell phones, we had all of these expenses. But it basically left us with no money at the end of the month. And so a lot of our grocery money came from donating plasma. Well, he donated plasma. I can't because my heart rate's too high. I was always excluded because my resting heart rate naturally is somewhere between 90 to 100 beats a minute. That's a weird thing to talk. That's a weird thing to talk about, but it's true. It's been that way my entire life. So it's not like a health condition or anything like that. So my husband at the time would go donate plasma twice a week at Octapharma. And they would pay him $30 for the first donation and $40 for the second donation, so $70 a week to donate plasma, and that money would cover our gas and our groceries. When we moved from North Carolina to Virginia Beach, when we lived in North Carolina, we did the bulk of our grocery shopping at Aldi, and then when we moved to Virginia Beach, there were no Aldis. I looked it up earlier today because I wanted to make sure that I had proof to document to you guys that the first Aldi location in Virginia Beach came there in 2015. You don't always think to check what grocery stores are in an area when you go to move there. So I moved in 2012, instantly went to go GPS where the nearest Aldi was and realized that the closest Aldi was like an hour and a half away. So I had this kind of, oh, well, what now moment? Like, where am I supposed to do my grocery shopping at? I ended up doing the majority of my grocery shopping then at a store called Save-A-Lot. It was the cheapest thing that I could find in the area. And back then, I did not know that you could get groceries at Dollar Tree until 3-4 years ago. Until I started this YouTube channel. When I started this YouTube channel was around the time that I became enlightened to the fact that you could get groceries at Dollar Tree. So that's my story, and that's my soup recipe. So today you get a story and a soup. Save-A-Lot was a really good grocery store. It had very similar prices to Aldi. It had a very similar structure to Aldi. So I'm really grateful for having that back then because I wouldn't have been able to afford food any other way. I'm glad that I can show people today that Dollar Tree is a resource. It really does help people get by. We had $70 a week for gas and groceries. So one week we would fill up one car. The next week we would fill up the other car. We would alternate filling up our tank every other week. And groceries, we had somewhere between $40 to $45 a week to feed 2 people. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you again when I see you. I don't know when it's gonna be. I think we're gonna start working on some pantry meals or some, like a 72-hour emergency food kit. I did buy a camping stove today. I'm gonna finish out the Septober series. I'm not sure. I do have some things I have to do this weekend. Today's Friday as I'm filming this. I have a couple things I need to do this weekend, but I'll be back as soon as possible. I don't want to say I'll see you again tomorrow because I don't know. It's probably not going to be tomorrow. I hope you guys are having a great day. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you again soon.